I thought that strength meant being strict, being firm, not showing any vulnerability, and that was tiring. Hire people to help you. Don't be afraid to do that, even if it means at the beginning a financial burden.
Yes, I agree.
I remember at the very beginning of my career, most of the money I made went for help. And I remember always telling myself, think of this as an investment in your future. If you don't do this, it's either you give up or you just have to spend so much money on help, hoping that one day you make more money, that this becomes a fraction of what you make. Learn to balance and accept that not everything can be a priority at the same stage in life. So there's a stage where you feel like your children need to be your number one priority. That would mean, whether you like it or not, you're gonna have to accept that work is a little bit less of a priority. And it's okay. Women in my profession still need help is when the childbearing years hit. Because that's when a lot of them give up. And that's where there is no equality anymore. Their husbands, even if they're partners and they help a lot, they don't carry 50% of the load. I don't know anyone whose husband really carries 50% of the load.
So what's the legacy you would like to leave or live from now on for the world? Today I have a very special guest with me, Rindala Beydoun, Managing Partner and Founder at Tribhuvan Law Advisors, TLA. She specializes in mergers and acquisitions, real estate and corporate restructuring. She has won many awards and has been featured among 50 most influential women in Middle East in finance. A trailblazer for women in law, highly respected for her leadership and expertise. She is also a mother of two and a YPO member. I welcome Rindala on the show today. You've had an extraordinary journey in law, from working with law firms, leading law firms, to starting TLA. Tell me a little bit about what you learned in this journey.
It's a journey that's now been over 30 years. I started when I was 24. I was in the US. I had done my legal studies in the US, where you do a JD, you do kind of undergrad and then JD. And then I started at a large firm. Started from the beginning doing mergers and acquisitions. Worked in the US for about 6 years and then moved to Dubai in 2000. And since then, I've been working in Dubai. What I've learned, some things, if you will, I took with me on the journey from my upbringing, my parents. For us growing up, discipline was very important. Both my parents came from the education sector. My father was a university professor, my mom a teacher. So the house was run kind of like a school. A lot of discipline, maybe a bit too
Structure.
much. Maybe a bit structure. We would come home from school. We all kind of have to do the same thing. You wash your hands, you sit and have your lunch, you change your clothes, and then you go sit at your desk and you study. until whenever you're done. And then when we were younger, we would have to show our homework to our parents, who would have to check it and make sure that we've done everything. That discipline, that structure was definitely one of the values that was important for me throughout, of course, high school, college, law school, but then also in my career. And of course, with it comes hard work, right? So you're raised, especially since I was in an immigrant family. My family had left Lebanon and immigrated to the US. And usually immigrant families in the US are very much into success, hard work, the American dream. So again, I had those values as well. So between hard work, discipline, and dreaming. I had the right to dream. I think those helped me throughout my journey.
And you took them with you along in your career as well.
I took them with me. They're still very important values to me. I hope I was able to transfer them to my children, to people I've worked with. They've been kind of my compass.
That's amazing. And I think that's so important, because discipline is number one for me as well. In my journey, in my career, I felt the more disciplined you are, the better it is for you, right? Because you feel satisfied and fulfilled at the end of the day, because you feel you've given your 100%.
Correct. I mean, of course, it goes without saying that also your sense of ethics, is of course is always there, very important, be it honesty, not cheating, being fair. These things, I grew up in a household that really valued these sort of ethics. So for me, I take them for granted. This is for sure was always there, continues to be there. It was one of the most important things I taught my children. Hopefully they're living by them.
I was, in fact, just going to ask you the same things. Also, you come from a very challenging situation and surrounding in Lebanon.
Yes.
So were you able to hold those principles always, like you just mentioned, honesty, authenticity?
Yes. Yes, no, definitely. This is when your values get tested, right? It's during difficult times, difficult circumstances, whether you're able to hold on to them or not. I really don't think that any circumstances or any difficulties should affect your principles and core values.
And now you live more between Dubai and Lebanon. And you choose to, I know we had this conversation, and you choose to be in Lebanon, support it. So how do you manage that?
Well, there is the physical part, which is probably the not easy, but easier than the other parts. When I first started in 2012 living between Beirut and Dubai, I have an office in Dubai and I have an office in Beirut. The firm has.
And you employ a lot of people, you told me last we spoke.
We're about 20 now, and I have 2 partners. So it's not only about me.
In Lebanon as well?
No, they're here. They're based in Dubai.
And in Lebanon also you have a big office, right?
Yes, and it fluctuates, 10 to 12 people depending on who's there, who leaves, who comes, etc. But anyway, so physically, the first few years that I was doing this, I came to Dubai on a weekly basis, and that's a killer. I came every Monday, left every Thursday. My children, my daughter was 14, my son 9 years old now. Luckily, my parents were my neighbors. My husband was spending a lot of time in Beirut, my then husband. So it wasn't easy. Through the years now, I'm able to spend less and less time in Dubai as you have your system, the team in Dubai, etc. But I also continue to travel to other Gulf countries. We do work in Kuwait. We do a lot in Saudi. So I continue to travel, but a little bit better than before. Where I think it's a little bit or more difficult is emotionally. A part of it is you never feel settled. It's I mean, even in terms of your friendships, your relationships with people, your commitment to various things, there's always this interruption that's coming. So it's very unsettling. There's, of course, when you're a mother, when now my kids are grown up, but back then when they were still young, there's that guilt feeling, of course, which never leaves us as mothers. Oh my God, I'm leaving the kids again. Are they going to be okay? And you're on the phone the whole time. And mom, please, dad, please, husband, please, etc.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I've also enjoyed some parts of it. I mean, you certainly feel very fulfilled with success, right? I mean, we women who own our businesses and are in managerial roles, we do it because we enjoy it. So definitely, there is. I don't want to make it sound like it's only difficulties. There's also a lot of joy to it. There is the joy you feel also when your children start looking up to you and your colleagues, the younger people who work with you. No, it's been a good journey.
So what did you tell yourself those days when you did feel down and guilty? Because of course I work and I do feel the same. And I have to obviously talk myself out of it. And when the kids were young, especially, I know now they're much older. And when you were setting up in a different country, that's a huge commitment to set up a business in another country. And like you said, that traveling every week. How would you drive yourself to work and be able to present in both areas of your life?
You know, it's interesting you ask this question. I came here right from a lunch with 3 ladies who, 2 of them continue to work at the firm. So they're younger. One is a senior associate, one is a kind of a mid-level associate. One of whom worked at the firm and then left, and she's now in-house lawyer. And 2 of them already have children and they're trying to juggle. So this was the conversation at most of the lunch. There is one thing that I've always said to, and usually every woman that I know, when she gets pregnant for the first time, I go buy this book called Lean In, and I give it to them. And it talks about a lot of things, but one of the main themes in the book is get the help you need. hire the help anywhere you can hire it. I mean, there's one thing you cannot delegate, right? Which is your children. Do not delegate your children, your relationship with your husband, hopefully, and your core responsibility. But everything else, delegate. Hire people to help you. Don't be afraid to do that, even if it means at the beginning a financial burden.
Yes, I agree.
I remember at the very beginning of my career, most of the money I made went for help. So much of
interesting.
it. And I always, especially in the US, right? It's expensive. It's not like
Absolutely.
Out here east. And I remember always telling myself, think of this as an investment in your future, Rindala. If you don't do this, it's either you give up, because it's humanly impossible.
Yes.
Or you just have to spend so much money on help, hoping that one day you become successful, you make more money, that this becomes a fraction of what you make. So that's one thing I've always done. The other thing, and that's what I've also told these wonderful three ladies at lunch, is learn to balance and accept that not everything can be a priority at the same stage in life. So there's a stage where you feel like your children need to be your number one priority. That would mean, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to accept that work is a little bit less of a priority. And that probably means that you may have to give up some responsibilities. You may have to be on a slower pace, on a slower track. And it's okay. Just accept that, knowing that in 5 years, at the next phase in life, things will change. It will probably be the other way around. I mean, not that my kids are not my priority, because God knows they are, and probably too much. If you ask them, they want me to kind of leave them alone, because I'm always on the phone and chasing, doing what mothers do. But undoubtedly I have more time now. So undoubtedly I'm able to give a lot more to work and community and being involved in various things. So I think that's important to accept. And we women, especially the type A personality women, we want to do all.
Do it all and do it at the best ability and just make everybody happy around us. Yeah. I think
and at the same time.
Yeah. We have that in us.
And that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I've accepted that early on. I've realized now, it does not mean that I didn't feel with guilt, because I did. But you talk yourself out of it.
Yes.
You have to make sure you don't let these feelings completely control you.
No, I agree. And my twins are still 13 years old.
Yes.
And I know that they're still young and they still need me and they enjoy being with me in the evenings.
Yes.
So I make sure that I say no to everything after 5 o'clock, because these are the years for me. In the next 6 years, maybe 5 years, maybe they won't need me.
Absolutely.
And I will have all the time in the world to do my socializing in the evening, after work, or whatever I need. So for now, they are number one priority. Work is number two priority, except of course on a Friday or a Saturday. But I want to make sure I tuck them to bed. I sleep with them most nights, talk about the day, tell them stories, tell them my learnings, tell them what I learned at work, because this is the time they're hearing also.
I did a lot of that, especially before we moved to Lebanon, when I was still in Dubai, and I was most of the work always in Dubai, didn't travel much. It was so important for me, to the extent where I kind of sometimes would come up with excuses when clients would ask for a call at 6 o'clock or 6:30 and try to move it to, like, I'm happy to do it at 9 p.m. I'll do it at 8 a.m.
Yeah,
but during this period,
true.
I'm really tied up. I cannot do it. And back then, it wasn't very accepted for we women to say, I need to be with my children.
Yeah.
Because people did not accept that concept, right?
But now I think it's more accepting.
Much more.
Yeah.
But for me, you kind of had to make
I
those
remember that
white
time.
lies. You had to make some white lies and say, I have another call, or I'm tied up, or at least my generation, we felt, I think most women would probably agree with what I'm saying, we felt that then men will think we're not serious about our
And
careers.
it's a sign of weakness. Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's very
I felt
important.
that when I entered, like 20 years ago, I entered the business. I did feel that.
Yes. It's much better now, much better. And I hope that it's because of some of the women in my generation that have become more and more senior, and hopefully are making it easier on the younger women of this generation. It couldn't continue the way it was. It just couldn't continue.
I agree. Thank you for sharing so authentically. That's so true. And it's important, I think, every phase of life, given that priority, and so you can manage it all, and you at the end of the day you feel fulfilled that you have been able to give your best to all areas of your life.
That's right.
That's beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. So you have been recognized as the leader in UAE on the law side, and you've won so many awards. How does that make you feel?
Proud, for sure, proud and fulfilled, and undoubtedly. It's like someone else looking at you and saying, you've done the right thing, we value you, it's been worth it. So, for sure. But it's also, for me, it's always very important the way my children react when I tell them, because I do share with them a lot about my work. I've gotten this award or that pride that I see in their eyes. Whenever I see it, I'm like, oh my God, why did I feel so guilty for so many years? Why did I let that guilt eat me up? They're okay. They turned out okay, doing very well. And they're very proud of me. Another thing is I do, because I work and I've worked throughout, I find that they also not so much respect me, because every child hopefully respects their mother, but maybe respect my opinions. You feel that they feel like, oh, this is someone we ought to listen to. This is someone who's done well in her life. She must have done something right, so they listen. And now they seek my advice, which wasn't always the case. Now they seek it. And that's wonderful.
So the relationship has evolved and they have seen you in that light. And of course, like you said, that they take your word for it because of the experience. They've seen you, like they say, actions speak louder than words. So because you have been able to contribute, I think.
Absolutely, but that's not to say that they always take what I say or that I don't have to also dance around how to say it and when to say it. No, of course we have their children at the end of the day, and it's a mother-child dynamic. But they too tend to listen and have at least a serious discussion with me about it, rather than kind of dismiss and say, oh, okay, you're a mom. And so, no, that's it's been worth it.
How do you also I think want to give back to society? I want to say, like, inspire and mentor the women. Do you do any of those things?
Yes, absolutely. I mentor several women in various aspects of the organizations I'm involved with. So I always have few mentees, in addition to kind of the unofficial mentorship that I always have to the women at the firm, right?
Of course, yes.
I'm a big believer in hiring as many women as we can, and helping them navigate, helping them balance their two lives, career and work, and really also their personal life, and succeed. So I do spend quite a bit of time on that. And I mentor my daughter, because my daughter chose to also study law. And I promise you, I did not encourage it even. I mean, she just came up with this. So my daughter right now is almost a young lawyer. She's about to graduate. And I feel, I find myself mentoring her. It's not an official relationship. I don't even think about it, but I always find myself, Mama, do this at work. This may help. When she was working this summer, do this with the professor. So as I said, some of it are conscious mentoring roles, but some of it are unconscious. I just do them without even thinking about it.
And that's so beautiful when your child is following your footsteps. I think that must make you so proud as well.
Very, but I really, when she told me she wanted to study law, first when she told me for her undergrad she wanted to go to the university I went to, I kind of took a step back. It took me by surprise, and I wanted to make sure it's her choice. And I asked her several times, "You're sure?" She's like, no, I love it. I love the area, etc. And then when she also said she wants to go to law school, again, I wanted to make sure it's her. That these are not just, she's just doing it because she's kind of following in her mom's footsteps. Rather, it's what she, as Aya, wants to do. But yes, now that she's made those choices, I love it.
That's so sweet. So you did touch upon that you try to hire women.
Yes.
So gender equality has been a UN global challenge. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what you do to be able to support this?
I have to say that I've evolved on this. And I think it's because also the journey of women in the workplace has evolved. So if you ask me perhaps 10, 15 years ago, I always showed a preference, a real preference to hire women. now that we get so many wonderful women candidates, I sometimes find myself having to think, oh my God, I need more men. It cannot just be women. So gender equality cuts both ways, and we need to remind ourselves, because the women, I'm not saying we're there yet, but we're much better off than we were 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
And my field, law, especially in the junior, mid-level, women are doing very well. They're go-getters, they're loyal, they're hardworking, they're just intuitive, they're just amazing. So I really make sure we have gender equality among men and women and men, rather than just one way. Where I think women in my profession in law still need help is when the childbearing years hit. Because that's when a lot of them give up. And that's where there is no equality anymore. Their husbands, even if they're partners and they help a lot, they don't carry 50% of the load. I don't know anyone whose husband really carries 50% of the load. It's always the woman. Sometimes, hopefully, in a good relationship is 60%. Sometimes I carried probably 90% of the load when I was raising my children. Not because my then husband was not a great partner.
No, I think most cultures, there is a mindset and there is a social consciousness.
That's right.
Kind of a thing where the women is supposed to be, the belief is there, be it with in-laws, be it with parents, be it with the male members of society, that the women is responsible. It's
and
just
your
the
own
way it is.
expectations.
Yes.
Your own expectations. I think
our love, our protection towards the child, like, I don't know, it's something, even in me, like I work, but I want
you
to
feel
take
even
full
more guilty if you don't.
Yeah.
We used to feel more guilty if I ask my husband to do.
Yeah.
So now I think it's better with this new generation, but however, it's still not equal. So I feel that we really need to have flexible program, be it working hours, being where to work from, etc. You really have.
So I'll tell you a story. What I did.
Please.
That's so true. What you're saying. So my in-house legal is a woman, and she had a very small baby. She moved from India. And she said the same thing, that my husband is working full time and I really want this job. I don't have that kind of experience, but I'm ready to get this experience. And she had one child. So at that time I was looking at part-time. So I told her, it's fine, you can work from home. And then when the child grows up, obviously after 2 years or something, we would love for you to come at least a few times a week or maybe once a week to come in. And then she got pregnant again. So then I had to support her again. And I was like, oops, now what do we do? But then, you know what, I just stuck to myself and being able to help her and say that, no, it's fine. So she got pregnant again. Then she went to India. She gave birth. She came back. She's still working for us from home. She comes once a month in just to make sure no gaps are there. And luckily I have been able to pass on this kind of wisdom to my team who work with her, and we are able to fully support her, like all of us together, my team members and me, we are able to support her to work from home. So, so we are able to support and give her that what she wants. Yeah.
So fulfilling and so important. I think few women, luckily not many anymore, they feel like if we've done it the hard way, then this new generation of women should also do it the hard way. We manage, let them manage. And this is such a wrong frame of thought. I mean, this is just wrong because first of all, yes, we managed, but it was very, very, very difficult. And part of when you succeed is to make life easier on the generations that come after you.
Absolutely. So what's your take on empathy with that? Because one of my leadership principles is empathy and compassion with all. What do you think about it?
I had a feeling you were going to ask something about that because we as women always get asked, between being assertive or strong or even aggressive, but at the same time, you have to show compassion and empathy, etc. I think I have to admit here that I've evolved on this. I wasn't the same when I was 30 years old or 35 or 40. I mean, I've evolved through the years. I think when I first started, and I was very young, and in the US, I was like this Middle Eastern woman with a heavy English accent, coming from a family of immigrants, etc. I thought that strength meant being strict, being firm. I wanted to prove myself, not showing any vulnerability, always, and that was tiring.
Because that was not yourself. You were not being yourself.
Part of the time, this is myself, but there are, and I kind of hid, if you will, my empathy. It's there. I've always been an empathetic person, but I hid it. It wasn't on the surface.
You felt you had to hide it.
And then you play the role so much that it's kind of become deep within you, right?
Yeah.
It goes deeper and deeper, and you kind of, later on, as I've evolved, I had to look for it. I mean, honestly, I mean it. I had to look for it to say, where is that part of me? And what I've learned is that there's a different way of managing, a better way of managing and parenting. Because I think early on as a parent, I was also very strict. And I think my children will say over strict. And they're probably right. I like to believe that I was loving. I still spent a lot of time, but I was just strict. It was just like, this is what needs to be done at this time. Boom, 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 boom. And then you kind of, I don't know, you relax, you become wiser. But also there's more awareness in society now, right? I mean, you read all these books, you hear all these stories, you try it. I mean, I started to try a different way of managing, and it was more enjoyable for me and for the people around me whom I'm managing.
So true.
It's just a happier environment, and I'm still getting the same results.
Absolutely.
Now, that's not to say that I am not disciplined and I have expectations, etc. But I kind of go back and forth between being firm and being joking in the office, having some personal conversations, spending one-on-one time, kind of do it all, show all aspects of yourself to your team. So for sure, I'm a happier manager now. I'm a happier mom now. And I hope the people I work with or my children that I mother are happier as well.
So initially you were not able to balance empathy and this thing because of the upbringing and the environment.
I really did not balance it.
And so something similar happened to me as well. When I joined the family business, I looked up to my father. And because he was so successful,
right,
the way he was, I started believing I have to be like him.
Yeah.
And it made me so miserable.
Yeah.
It made me so miserable to be like someone else. And I thought that, this is about 12 years ago, I thought that there was no space for empathy and compassion in leadership. And when I learned about myself, I actually interacted and did a lot of courses, learned more about how times have changed in leadership. Yes. I realized that I have to be an authentic leader. I have to be who I am. I have to be able to be myself at work and give the love, compassion and empathy to my team that I give my children maybe. And that's how I can create a happy environment where everyone can thrive. But I think it took me a couple of years to learn it before I could, and gain the courage so I could apply it.
For me, it took a lot longer than a couple of years, unfortunately. But I got there. With time, I got there.
And you're actually in the law kind of business. So that's even more tougher, I feel. So how do you adapt other newer things into law, which is a very stringent kind of a book, kind of a career, I want to say?
Not really.
Not anymore?
I think it's a career that has evolved a lot. Because society is evolving around you, right? Clients are evolving, expectations are evolving, the community is. So no, just like everybody else, you need to adapt, you need to change things. I mean, take something like the deliverables, right? That clients expect. The way they were done 20 years ago is not the way they're done today. The way you deliver and communicate your deliverables, the way you communicate with the client, the way you advise. I mean, it used to be, for example, when I first started that, the lawyer was kind of God. You know, you were kind of the counselor. You would sit down and whatever you tell your client, they do. And that's not the case anymore. And especially now, a lot of our clients are the new generation, right? Many of them are very successful. They are the ones who are, hiring the successful firms, and they'll challenge you on everything. And it's great because they make you think. In the first place, they make you think harder before you deliver the advice. And then they make you also rethink things and reposition your advice, etc. So no, I would say it's a career that has evolved. The whole practice of law has. And again, in a good way. But, I mean, there are things that are a little bit difficult, like the way you get paid as a lawyer, right? That's always evolving. It's always a struggle because of this whole hourly rate thing, which some clients cannot understand it. Some clients hate it. Some clients feel like, how can I trust you? How do I know this is going to take you 2 hours and not 1 hour? And I get it. But then you try other models and then they fail, or it's always a struggle. I mean, that is one model, that billing, the billable hour, that continues to challenge us lawyers and challenge and put stress on the relationship between clients and lawyers. It's the most tense part of the relationship.
Wow.
Is either when you discuss the fees at the beginning, or when things change, because they always change and the fees end up being different than you estimated. I mean, you tell the client it's an estimate, but of course they forget the word estimate, right?
Absolutely.
And in their mind, it's a fixed fee. It's tense and it's tough. And I expect it to be tougher now with AI, because there's going to be more tasks and agreements, etc., that AI can help lawyers with, which means to measure a lawyer's time as how you get paid will be difficult. But yet, still, even if I'm using AI as a tool, as an aid, obviously not as a substitute, I still need to make my money as a lawyer. So but then is billable hour the right thing? So anyway, so we're always evolving. Some things are easier than others, but always evolving.
So tell me a little bit about the initiative you have started for your country, Lebanon, and how you run that.
I assume you're talking about the War Initiative.
Yes,
okay, because
initiative.
I'm always involved in one thing or another. I think I'm an activist at heart. So whenever there is room to help, to be an activist, I'm always there. I kind of feel without thinking about it. This latest thing, when the war started in Lebanon this past fall, and people started leaving the south and coming down to other parts of Lebanon overnight, I mean, in a few days, we had over 1 million people. This is a small country of 4 million people. We're not talking about a country of 100 million. So you had about 1/4 of the population leave their homes and flee to other parts of the country. Some people fled. All probably fled without clothes. We saw people without any shoes, barefoot.
Oh my God.
Of course, no food, no sanitary products. I mean, it was. So I remember I was in Dubai when I don't want to get into the details on the war side, but there was a big kind of a pager explosion thing that happened, and it's immediately after that all this displacement happened. And I don't know if you remember, but actually we were together that day. We were having a forum meeting.
Yes.
And you remember on TV, I think we were three Lebanese. We kept looking at the news to see what happened.
Yes.
And a couple of us said, oh my God, we have to go back to Lebanon. And I remember very well, one of our forum colleagues said, what do you mean? You mean leave Lebanon? I would think when there's a big explosion and more people leave, not go back. And of course, that night I was on the flight back.
Yes.
Next morning, I just, honestly, and I'm not exaggerating, I found myself at the schools and the displaced centers going around trying to figure out what do people need. I mean, I just did it without thinking, it's like, of course, there's 1 million people out in schools, in the streets, in centers, I mean, everywhere.
It's
and
so
they
courageous.
need everything you can think of. I think I am lucky in the sense that I have a lot of friends who are accomplished, are able to help. I'm also luckier that some of these people trust me. So when I'm able to say, guys, we need help, I was able to raise a lot of money. My friends just came through, and at the beginning, we had no controls. I am part of a charity, an NGO called Istidama. So we were raising in the name of Istidama, but at the time, Istidama had no warehouse. It didn't have, because what Istidama did was development projects. It was not set up for crisis project like this one. So the warehouse we started working out of was my car garage. we put things in the building garage, and that's how we started sorting through things, and and then putting them on trucks and pickups. And I used a pickup I have on my farm and some of other friends' pickups, because you couldn't find anything. So I would call people and say, please, can I use your pickup? Can I use your, whatever? Can you give me money? It was a community thing. So it wasn't me, or it wasn't really about me. It was very collective, to the extent of people in my office, my team, my assistant at home, the driver. I mean, everyone wanted to help.
Yeah.
Everyone was there. One of the watchmen on our street, he has 2 young kids, like one maybe is 10 or 8. They came up to me, they said, we want to help, can we help? And then they were right there in the garage also helping to sort through things.
It's amazing.
So,
and you just launched a report. So, I mean, if listeners over here want to support, I think we'll put the link, and they can...
That would be lovely, because some people think it's over. It is not over. So many houses are destroyed, so many schools, hospitals, people, the tragedy goes on and on. But it's when the fighting stops and people start going back to their homes, it's very easy for us to say, okay, we've helped enough, it's over. It is not. It's actually now that people are going back to their homes not to find them. I mean, I don't know if you've been following the news the last few days, where people have been going back to the border towns. Some of those towns don't exist. People went back and there's nothing. Literally.
Oh my God.
The whole village is not there. So no, that would be lovely if people still want to help.
No, absolutely. I think we all can, and we should help as much as we can. I personally believe to live is to give. And we can never give enough.
100%.
So thank you for doing this amazing initiative, and definitely we'd like to be more involved. And,
thank you.
We'll share the message with
Thank
the
you
world.
very, very much. I really appreciate it.
So what's the, I want to ask you, you've had a beautiful journey. You've been part of YPO for a long time. What's one takeaway that you would like to share with our audiences that YPO has given you, or you've learned from YPO?
I've learned to trust strangers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you witnessed what I'm going to share right now with the audience. My first forum meeting was not even in person. It was by Zoom.
Yes.
And I had a huge crisis happen that day. And I had to excuse myself from the call for a few minutes. And then I kind of broke down, and I debated, do I go back on the call, or do I just... And then I said, you know what? I've heard so much about these forums. I've heard about how helpful they can be. I don't know these people. I haven't even met them in person. It's my first call with them.
Yes.
But I'm going to take a leap of faith, leap of trust. And I broke down with you all on the phone. Yes. I shared that very, very difficult and intimate story.
Yes.
With all of you. And it's been wonderful since then.
Yeah, that was your absolute 2%, I feel. And I think that's what makes us stronger together.
Yes. And I feel like my gut feeling that made me share this, now when I look back, it was right, because now we've shared so much as a forum. The relationship has evolved into friendship, but also respect. I mean, on my side, I respect what my forum colleagues have to say.
Yeah,
they're smart people, keep confidentiality very strict, etc. So I've learned to go by my gut feeling sometimes and trust strangers. And
that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm happy that the forum and YPO has added so much value to your life.
Absolutely.
So what's the legacy you would like to leave or live from now on for the world? Like, what's the legacy, like they say, you want to leave for the world?
It's a good question. because we all have kind of, or at least I have a wish to leave a legacy as a mother, which is different than as my career, which is different than my aspiration, what I think I was born for. And I say it humbly, but that's how I feel. As a mother, obviously, I want to leave behind 2 happy, balanced children who will look back after I'm gone and say, we had a good mom. We've enjoyed her. She taught us good things, and we were able to use some of those things to find happiness. Career-wise, I really would like TLA to continue to be an institution, but also to become an institution that's way bigger than me and my name, and that will withstand the test of time, be there always for the best achieving lawyers to grow within it, make partners in it, and take it to the next and next and next level. I'd like to be able to say that I've created an institution rather than a personal office that will kind of die when I'm gone. Now, something that's very important to me is I want to make a difference in my country. I really want to make a difference. And probably eventually is going to be on the political scene, because I think it's scalable. I really think when you're in politics, if you have the right role with the right tools at the right time, you can make a big change. It's very scalable.
Wow.
More,
amazing.
Of course, as the owner of a business or the manager of a business, you make change, but it's in this circle, right?
Yes.
But when you
absolutely.
take it to a country level, it's on a different scale. I love my country, and everybody loves their country, but I think, I don't know what it is about we Lebanese. We just, I don't know. I mean, in war, in peace, good times, bad times, you find us always on planes going back to our country. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just, this Lebanon is so important to all of us. It
love
really is.
how I could see your energy and you light
up. It really
up.
is. It really is. And I want to give it something. I really do. I want to take things I've learned, maybe the energy I have, the ethics I have, the know-how. I want to give it in one way or another. When and exactly how remains to be seen. But I really hope I get to do it before I die. I really do.
Wishing you the best, and I'm sure you will.
Thank you.
Wishing you so much luck for all your projects.
Thank you very much. Thank
you. Thank you for watching this episode of the Come Alive podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on whichever platform you're hearing it. Would love to hear your thoughts and comments. And until next time, see you soon.